Welcome, Highland Pres. It's Thursday morning conversations. I am Doodle Harris, and we are so glad you're joining us for the first one. I have a guest here, Kevin Burns. Kevin, say hi.
Hi.
Kevin, how do you feel being our first guest on a morning show that doesn't even have a theme song?
Like a guinea pig, perhaps?
Well, Highland Press, we're glad you're joining us. The purpose of this is to have some fun conversations and to give you some announcements that are coming up in the life of the church in the next few days and weeks. So first of all, Horizons Bible Study is starting again next Wednesday afternoon. That would be the 13th at 2 o'clock. The book for the Bible study is in the church office. If you'll email Kathleen, she'll get you a copy of that book and you can join us for the Bible study every other week at 2 o'clock. Kevin, have you ever done a Bible study?
Yes, I have.
And how do you feel about them?
I actually like them a lot, especially when I'm leading them. But
I agree with that. You two lead a fine Bible study. All right. So at the weekday school, the nursery and weekday school, the Highland Press School, they are now accepting enrollments for next year. If you have a child that is 0 to kindergarten who might like to come, they are accepting enrollments through January the 15th. You've got to get it in by the 15th to ensure that you could have a spot next year. Highland Press members are given priority when it comes to finding roles over there. And hopefully next year at the weekday school, all of the COVID will be over and it will be back to normal and play. And that's a fun opportunity. Kevin, have you been playing any games of Among Us?
I have with the youth group. I have only played with the youth group pretty much and a few friends.
Are you any good at it, Kevin?
No, I am not any good at it. Obviously, I'm not good at detecting when there are assassins in the midst.
I see.
Not that.
Well, children of our church, if you want to join us on Sunday afternoon, we are going to be playing a game of Among Us. All children are welcome. Kevin, I would welcome you if you wanted to get some hints and tips from our children.
I would need them.
Think about that and let us know. Again, that is next Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. And Kevin, I have some bad news. At Highland, just a couple of weeks ago, we found out that Charlie Pye passed away on the last year of 2020. What a loss for our community. Leah, his daughter, posted this on social media, and I so appreciated it. She said, "Those of you lucky enough to know my father knew what a light he was in this world, how much he enjoyed telling and laughing at his own jokes, how good he was at listening to counseling and praying with people, how generous he was, how deeply he loved my mom and me." That was such a sweet, accurate tribute. Kevin, do you have any memories of Charlie Pye you'd like to share?
Sure, I do. He was a gentle soul and a really thoughtful person, and I considered us to be good friends. My best memories of him were recent ones where he was acting in a leadership role in the Feasting on the Word class. That class really loved him, and he really loved that class. And besides being, thoughtful and having lots of biblical insights, I was always struck by how vulnerable he was, how much he was willing to share of his personal struggles and personal journeys with that class. He made a huge difference. That class is really going to miss him.
Thanks for sharing that, Kevin. I agree. It's such a sad loss. Leah and Carol, our thoughts and our love are with you, and they will continue to be in the upcoming year and what lies ahead. Kevin, we have some birthdays in the church this week. I'm going to share those with you. Today, I'm going to wish a happy birthday everyone with a birthday from January the 1st to January the 9th. So here they are. Linda Harris, happy birthday. Emily McLaren had a birthday on Sunday. Oh my gosh, Kevin, did you see the Christmas pageant?
Yes.
Did you see Emily McLaren's son, who was Caesar Augustus?
With the British accent.
Yes. Did you know that Caesar Augustus had a British accent?
I was totally unaware of that until I saw the show.
I'm so glad he shared. Also, happy birthday to Jim Shern, Barbara Vaughn, Rebecca Rich, Karen Hauk, Kevin, didn't you take Greek class with Karen?
Yeah, that was such a great class. Great class. We had about 10 people in there for about 2 years that parsed together and studied Greek. And you had some great leadership in that class.
That was, I hope we can bring that class back one day. That was great. Coming up, oh, this past Tuesday, it was Leah, Will, and Katie Troy's birthday. I think they are everyone's favorite triplets at Highland. When we talked at Sunday school on Sunday, they were having a debate about whether they were going to have an Among Us cake or, oh, what is that game all the kids play with the blocks? Minecraft. So,
Oh,
what do you think, Kevin? Should they have a Minecraft or an Among Us cake?
Minecraft would be easier, I think, to make a cake out of.
Well, Katie, Leah, and Will, if you're listening, please comment and let us know what kind of cake you eventually had. Happy birthday to Lynn Giesling. Happy birthday, Lynn. I'm glad to have you. Mary Ann Baker, Stuart Barr, Heidi Blackbird, Oliver Watkins, soon to be a big brother. Can't wait to hear about that. Happy birthday, Doll Crockett. Happy birthday, Ann Baronis. And a little bit early, happy 100th birthday to BJ Mills. Her birthday is actually on January the 12th, but we hope that all of you watching will look in the newsletter or the week at a glance and send her a 100th birthday card. It's not every year we get to wish someone in our church a happy 100th birthday, and those are special. So I'd love for BJ to hear from you and your birthday wishes. Kevin, do you have any announcements that I missed?
I do not.
Well, then, Kevin, I have some questions for you.
Fire away.
Kevin, how long have you been a member of Highland?
Kimberly and I have been members of Highland since like 1992. So it's been about 29 years. We joined right when we were moving back to Louisville from college. We were going through a little anti-Baptist phase at the time, which was what we grew up with. That was our heritage. And I remember what really sealed the deal for us was Jim Chatham coming to visit us at our apartment and staying for about 4 hours and talking theology and Bible with us, and we were pretty much hooked at that point.
That's amazing. Did Kimberly participate in that conversation, or was that all?
Yeah, she sat there at the dining room table the whole time. I don't know what she was thinking, but she was sitting there the whole time.
Well, good. Just so you know, I was in middle school in 1992. So in all that time, Kevin, you must have collected a ton of HPC t-shirts.
I have. I bet I have more than. I bet the only person in the congregation who has more t-shirts than me is you.
Well, that's quite possible. Do you have a favorite t-shirt, Kevin?
I have several, but the one that I really like the most is this one, which says "I escaped Egypt" on the front, and on the back has kind of an Egyptian design. And this came from I think it was around 2007. I mean, sometime then when we did one of our earlier overnights with the Passover lock-in, and the "I escaped Egypt" is not just obviously a reference to the Hebrews escaping, but we actually had an escape room there, and that was so much fun. That was a great group of kids. I have some other favorites too. I mean, there's one that I have a great picture with Michaela Reed with. It says "Energizers are like clubbing with God," and reminds me of some of the great times we've had at Montreat. And there's, I have this one from Hope is Happening that still, brings back pleasant memories of the time I served on the planning team for middle school Montreat.
That was a great conference.
I have very good memories of it.
I agree with the kids, though. You should have definitely been keynoting that conference instead of working behind the scenes. So, Kevin, you've been at Highland so long. What's your favorite thing about Highland?
Well, my favorite thing about Highland's really the people. I mean, it's the family relationships I have with so many that have developed over the years, and the kind of community that we've built. And a big part of that community for me is the youth group, because I end up, due to my volunteer efforts, spending a lot of time with them. And they are such lovable kids with such great minds and great hearts. And they're constantly trying to make the world a better place. And, maybe for some of us old adults who have been around the block a little too long, it may see, what they want to do might seem naive, but there's a freshness about the kids' perspectives that is so refreshing and invigorating that I love spending time with them.
That was sweet, Kevin. You're gonna make me cry. That was lovely. I miss spending time with him in person right now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I do. Okay. Of all of the volunteering you have done, which has not been insignificant over the years or anything, what is your best Highland Pres memory?
Well, I got lots of those too. I mean, a lot of them are from Montreat. I mean, those particularly some of those late nights with those conversations that were really opening up and exploring their faith and their vulnerability. But I have a lot of good experiences with adult ed, and you know, for a while I was a major leadership role there, and we brought in a lot of cool speakers like Luke Timothy Johnson. I remember driving him around town, taking him back and forth to dinner and I don't know, there was a lot of opportunity to meet some really cool people. I have great memories of my Sunday school class. I have been doing that now for 10 years, and it's my favorite thing to do.
More than
But
10 years.
maybe my favorite memory, I'm sorry.
More than 10 years. You were doing it when I got there 12 years
Oh,
ago.
you're right. It probably has been more than 10 years. I think my favorite memory of all time was the youth worshipers where Tom Holmes donned the mustache and became a look-alike Kevin Burns. That memory for me is one of my favorites. I still think about it.
I have that picture on my phone. That was awesome. That was really good. And he did a great impression of you too. I was
He did. It was scary.
yes. I didn't know you had all those quirks until Tom brought them to all of our attention.
I didn't either.
Well, Kevin, Highland's not the only place that you're doing great things. You recently wrote some curriculum for the national office.
I did. It took them a while to finalize it, but basically, the national office decided that they wanted some new training for elders and deacons. And really, I think this is a brilliant idea. They decided to organize the training modules around the constitutional questions that elders and deacons have to agree to as part of the part of the process of becoming an elder and a deacon. And so they ended up tackling some really cool issues. I mean, you know, there's a question about believing in God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. There's a question about believing in the essential tenets of the Reformed faith. There's a question about understanding governance, church polity issues. There's a question about furthering the peace, unity, and purity of the church. I mean, really, they took the big issues one by one, and they invited teaching and ruling elders from across the country to write modules to kind of explore them. And not surprising, they gave me the question, do you accept the scriptures of the Old and New Testaments to be by the Holy Spirit, the unique and authoritative witness of Jesus Christ in the church universal and God's word to you? I mean, it's just packed full of issues.
Yes.
So I enjoyed the process of kind of having to think through it and write, you know, how we got the scriptures we have today and what that really means for us as modern day Christians. And it was a very enlightening process. And you know, I'm hoping that someday we actually are able to use some of that curriculum at Highland. It's kind of an intensive curriculum, and you know, it'd be quite intensive for most churches to use to train incoming deacons and elders. But the cool thing is, I'm not the only Highland Presbyterian person that wrote. David Gambrell wrote a module. Lee Henson Hasty, who has a long relationship here at Highland, not a member or not active here anymore, but he wrote one of the modules. So they're really, it's kind of exciting. I think Adult Ed is going to talk about that for the coming year as a way to try to plug into that curriculum and maybe connect with some of the contributors to it.
Yeah, that'd be neat. Well, congratulations, Kevin. I can't wait to explore that together. Kevin, what questions do you wish I had asked you today?
I don't know. I mean, I think you covered the gamut of my experiences. I've done a little bit of everything in the time that we've been at Highland, and you know, you know, have been off of session now for about a year, but I'm coming back on, and I'm excited about getting uh, more involved again and kind of plugging in. There's so many cool things going on, and I have great memories. And again, it's mostly of the people, but a lot of it is from experience you have with the people. You know, doing projects like I have it was a lot of work, but I have a lot of pleasant memories from the process of raising money and going through the whole construction process at Plume Mobley. And I have a lot of pride in the youth facility there that we have that I think is one of the best in the city. And our kids, have so used it over the
I think
years.
it is
Can't
the
wait to get
best in
back.
the city.
I really like it too. I think it is too. And I can't wait till we can get back to using it again when this whole COVID mess is over.
I agree. I'm ready to be back in our space. I'm ready to be back with our people. I think I'm going to just stand outside with a big sign that says free hugs. I think I'm ready. Oh, Kevin, thank you for joining us this morning. This has been a fun chat.
Thanks for inviting me.
You are
It's
always a
fun.
fun person to see what you're up to and see what's going on in your world. All right. Well,
I
tell
appreciate you.
your wife, tell your son we said hi.
I will.
And
will.
Harlan, thanks for joining us. We hope you will join us next week, next Thursday morning. We will be talking next Thursday morning with Ben Weaver, our organist. So if you have questions for Ben or have questions about the organ or even questions about God, that would be an adventure. Put those in the comments and I'm happy to ask Ben your questions next week. And thanks, everybody. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Bye.